From IBM TV, International Broadcast Media, this
Fan Club.
Warriors Den, a unique broadcast that brings you in-depth discussions with American legal scholars to discuss the current issues facing our nation. I am Bill Tresvant, and along with my esteemed Southern colleague, Nick Palavita, we are your co-hosts. Nick, will you please?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to bring in our first panelist, hailing from, I would say, from the University of Denver School of Law, also Lithuania, if you can imagine that, talk about international flavor, and then receiving her LLM, not only as an attorney from University of Denver, LLM in international law, one of our favorites on the Den. I would like everybody to make sure we give a warm welcome to Guidry. Guidry, if you didn't show up, I was going to miss you so much.
Yeah. So
because you add flavor to the Den, because otherwise the Den is like, not so flavorful. So anyway.
And I need a friend every now and then when they gang up on me.
Actually, we could just do us. We'll just leave everybody backstage. Oh, that won't work. They'll get mad. They'll never come back. So let's bring back another JDLM attorney hailing from Salt Lake City, licensed before the Supreme Court of the United States, a maven in constitutional law. We have for tonight Jeff Teichert. Jeff, welcome to the show again. Yes, we got quite a den, and of course we have our den leader, Bill Tresvant, but also hailing from Columbia University School of Law and the Illinois Institute of Technology, a person who works in the area of appellate law, which means that it's way above Judge Judy's pay grade. Frederick Ryan, welcome to the show. Can you imagine somebody above Judge Judy's pay grade?
Everybody on this panel.
Yeah, and everybody on this panel, that might be true. And a JDLM attorney hailing from the state of Georgia, our professor and our only professor on the show today, because Becca Cantley is, out due to surgery, a constitutional law scholar, a person after the, let's put it this way, elitism doesn't bother him. Let's bring in Adam Lamparero, who has his own fan club. And Adam, your fan club, I got to keep track of it. They were on the boards all night long about you, and I didn't look up to the right and see your fan club. Next time, I will acknowledge your fan club and the other people that hit the boards. And then finally, a special guest coming in from Morrisville, a person who's into politics, graduated of law school of University of West Virginia, who was a former mayor and now is a councilman, Stephen Rayo. Steve, welcome to the show. It's his first time on the Den, so guys, take it easy on him. No, don't. Go ahead, wail into him. I don't care. So the thing is, yes, if he makes a mistake, make sure he eats it at the Den. I mean, that's kind of how we do it around here. Okay, so just to let you know, we are competing with Judge Judy internationally and on Saturday during the weekdays at 7. But unfortunately, we have President Trump right now, who's been blabbing. Is he done yet, Bill?
No, he's actually not quite done yet. He's and you know what it is, Nick. And see, this is one of those points that I want to make to you for our audience, and just to show for the world why we here at IBM TV are television for a smarter global community. And that's because the other 5 networks that dominate and seek to keep your voice quiet, Nick, they're showing the president. And you know what you were doing here with IBM TV? You're educating the world. So can we get a round of applause for Nick?
Sure. Let's see if I can get the applause machine to work. I did it.
There you go. No, you're still listening to your president, Nick. And
but the thing is, remember, he's just president of one country. We're in 122 countries that don't accept him as the president. So, when they say, why he's not my president, and we ask our guys in India, why not? Because he's not our president. Modi's our president. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, Nick, didn't we see some headlines today? I mean, we know that the election is pretty much settled with the 270 having already been reached, but Trump's lead is slowly shrinking in Pennsylvania, and isn't it also shrinking by leaps and bounds in Georgia?
Well, yeah, but does it make any difference? See, it matters only what the final result is. It's like saying I'm playing a football game. It's fourth quarter. I'm up 3 points. That game's over, right? Well, you know what he did the other day? He wanted to call the game over in the states I'm winning and game continue in the states I'm losing. And I was going perfect, but football doesn't work that way, and neither does the presidency. It is great lawyers because we all get hired. They all get hired out of your neck of the woods in Washington D.C. to file suits all over the place. So it's a lawyer's full employment act. Other than being theater, it's a complete bloody waste of time. You know,
Wait,
I
wait,
find
wait.
it amusing, but come on.
Two of the suits have been dismissed already. One in Georgia and one in Michigan. Literally, they
You
just
think?
went to court the same day they filed.
Oh, what a surprise! I mean, sometimes it's asked and answered. I mean, come on. He files the suit, loses, then files the same suit again. Let me see if I get a different result. Maybe a different judge will show up. I mean, come on.
Okay.
No.
Adam, we're going to give you a chance to catch up. Gidry, can you, do you want to, since you occupied the top square in this almost Brady Bunch-like broadcast? Okay. There you go.
There you go.
Your thoughts about today?
Oof. Lots of thoughts, and my hair is not getting as curly as Adam's yesterday.
Okay. There we started.
That's true. You got to work on that to be like
I have
Adam.
to change my look from day to day.
Yeah.
Love it. I approve. But no, it's been an interesting day. As Nick mentioned before we ended yesterday, we were in anticipation of a lot of lawsuits, and I'm absolutely not surprised that our standing president has been exercising his very, very, strong ability of claiming of instigating suits without really strong evidentiary ground to substitute them. And unfortunately, this course of action is creating a lot of confusion to the public and unnecessary, again, increasing the division within the public. Instead of focusing on the democracy at work, we actually started fighting and blaming each other and trying to find reasons of how not to really focus on what's happening.
Yeah, and by the way, with Guidry, she has some beautiful artwork behind her, and we went over it last time for the people that don't know that she has Botticelli's Birth of Venus, which is right behind there, which you can see at the Uffizi Museum in Florence. Okay, it's right behind her to the right. She has just part of it, but Birth of Venus, she doesn't have the rest of the characters around. I don't know what the other artwork is about, so someday you're going to have to give us a tour, Guidry.
I will do. It's actually very well-known Cuban painters, and I could give you a lot of history about them. I'm very proud of those pieces behind me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, she's got a great art collection behind it. 10 times more interesting than whatever Trump is doing. But our prediction here was lawsuits will fly. Our other prediction is Twitter tantrums are about to take place right after they certify the election. So watch Twitter, ding, 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 and he'll put tantrums about anything. And that's going to go on for a couple months. So that's going to give us a lot of materials for the den. Think about that.
Listen, Jeff, what are you making of today's items?
Well, yesterday we were talking as though the election was over, and it maybe we were a little premature on that. It's an interesting moment in American politics. So I think a couple of things. Number one, we were saying even before this election started that Trump needed to pull an inside straight to win, which he did in 2016. Now I think it's not so much that he has to pull an inside straight. He needs a royal flush. He's got to win in the 3 states where he's ahead, and he's ahead by razor-thin margins in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. And then he's got to pick off one of the states where he's behind by razor-thin margins, Nevada or Arizona. And those races have both tightened to make it look remotely possible. But my opinion about what this all means in the larger perspective is unchanged. Number one, the media is in the tank for Biden. They were in the tank for Biden for 2 years, and the polls were really more to create and drive results than they were to predict results, which I think it's a completely discredited profession. I mean, get this: they were off by 8 points in Florida. 8 points.
Yep.
They were off in the main Senate race by 19 points. I mean, that is horrific. 19 points in a Senate race in Maine. Come on. So I mean, I think the pollsters have been exposed for what they are. They're either incompetent or they're in the tank for the Democratic Party. And given what they predicted going into election day, and every election for like the past 20 years, it's obvious they're trying to drive results and suppress Republican turnout.
Jeff, you always bring your strongest argument first, and I have to tell you, I gotta agree with you again at the beginning of this show, because you're right, the pollsters are jacked up. Mm-hmm. Frederick, what are you thinking of today's events? What's going through your mind?
Oh, well, I mean, today is made ever clearer. It keeps getting progressively more clear that Biden is going to win the election, and of course, Trump is spewing BS as always, and claiming if you count the real votes, the legitimate votes, that he's winning easily. So more or less as expected.
Yeah, because there are legal votes, and then there are the illegal votes, which are the legal votes that are just being counted after the fact, even by Republican governors. Adam,
you're right.
Legal or illegal votes?
Well, let me just say that those criticizing Trump's invocation of the legal process should recall Al Gore, who created a 38-day mess in Florida that was rightfully corrected by the U.S. Supreme Court in Bush versus Gore. But what I'll say is I agree 100% with Jeff. The media is hopelessly biased and lacks any credibility. So do the pollsters. The election, regardless of whether Biden wins, was extremely close, unlike what they predicted. Okay, the Republicans will keep control of the Senate, and they have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. So contrary to what the media would have you believe, this is a very divided country. And on my broader point, I hate to tell you that I told you so, but democracy is a bad idea. And I reiterate that, and this is the consequences of democracy as they are unfolding. Get rid of democracy, and you will find a much more peaceful, stable, and utopian society.
Hail to the Queen, I say. Hail to the Queen. But you just blamed Gore for Florida. Now, wait a minute. Al had nothing to do with the hanging chads. That was the Florida Department of Elections and these morons that couldn't figure out how to press the little button to make sure that the thing went in right. Al didn't do that. That's what the electorate did, and that's what the state Florida. Now, my question to you, Counselor, was Bush versus Gore correctly decided by the U.S. Supreme Court?
Right, Adam.
Bush versus Gore was correctly decided. Before I briefly discuss that, I'll say Al Gore is the one who invoked the legal process, and the Supreme Court in Bush versus Gore decided 7-2, with Justice Breyer in the majority, that the Florida Supreme Court's very silly decision in Bush versus Gore violated the Equal Protection Clause. They only split 5-4 on the remedy under 3 U.S.C. Section 5, but the court was overwhelmingly in favor of holding that the Florida Supreme Court's attempt to rewrite the election statute violated equal protection. So yes, it was correctly decided, and it turns out that Bush would have won anyway. So it's much ado about nothing.
No, that's the whole idea of litigation.
Not quite yet, Adam. First of all, I do have to, offer you this olive branch, and then no more for the rest of today. Look, making people eat crow's pie on this show is what this show is about. So if an I told you so is deserved, you deliver it, and whoever's got to eat it is got to eat it. Now, that having been said, I thought that you said that the one place state election laws did not belong was the federal court system. I believe you said that you believed in the great disunity of the United States. And I believe you said that some time ago. You said that the states run their elections. And
yeah, you did say that. I got them on record.
That's right. Isn't that right, Nick?
Yeah, except for Bush versus Gore, the states decide.
You are absolutely right. I did say that, and I believe that. But in the case of Bush versus Gore, the Florida Supreme Court's decision was so egregious, it completely disregarded McPherson versus Blacker. It essentially rewrote the election law in Florida. And in circumstances like that, when you have such an egregious decision, sure, the Supreme Court should intervene to enforce the text of the Constitution as originally understood by its founders, and that is the Equal Protection Clause, which it decided 7-2 that the court's decision violated.
Okay. Steve, What do you make sense of anything?
Well, I mean, I think I believe that Biden will get reelected. He's only a few. I think he'll get there first, and then my biggest concern is governing. I mean, I think that how is he going to govern with if the Republicans hold on to the Senate and they lose majorities in the House, still be a Democratic House? How is he going to govern such a divided nation? So the other thing I worry about is what if the president decides not to leave the White House, literally stands there and says, I'm not going to leave. That's never happened in American history. And that would be a very, for those of us in America, for those of you watching around the world, the peaceful transfer of power is always what we've really been proud of in America. So I hope that eventually he concedes. And in North Carolina, Bill, what we're seeing is, we've had a lot of defeat in North Carolina as Democrats. So we're waiting for the results. But at the end of the day, we've got a Republican lieutenant governor, Republican Supreme Court. We lost seats in the Senate and the House, so we're going to have a Republican General Assembly, and they'll be redistricting. And we're already hearing rumors of state senators and the Resource Triangle being debunked, and creating congressional seats in rural areas. So I think in the room where it happens, or in the Zoom where it happens, there's already power plays going on in North Carolina. So it was a bad day for Democrats in North Carolina. So.
And they love to gerrymander. They move all the little things around in North Carolina. Gerrymandering, we're good at North Carolina.
Gidry, I want to ask you about the 150,000 newly found ballots within the hands of the United States Postal Service. The same Postal Service that's run by a super Trump supporter and who assured us that, all ballots would be delivered expeditiously and refused to clean out or sweep their facilities, today suddenly having to admit that they found 150,000 ballots in the critical states. Deidre, what do you make of that?
Well, it was only 150,000 ballots. When you look at it, there was 198 million registered voters by mail, and the Post indicated that 135 were delivered. So we should look at this number in a literally taking into account the whole picture of how it happened. First of all, we need to understand that this is unprecedented, very challenging task to the Postal Service. It's much difficult than the Christmas time, and we know how crazy everyone gets during Christmas time. So right now, we have to take into account also that a lot of steps were done. That was an unavoidable service. It was a central service. I think it did really well. There were 5 primary states that were affected by those ballots. More than half, to my understanding, of the mail ballots that were late belonged to California, and California is actually a lost state for Republicans. So we cannot really kind of keep
okay. You're tiptoeing on dangerous grounds. Let me ask you. No. It's fair game, because I believe you just made the argument that 2 of our panelists will make. But I'm going to ask you, because the Trump administration, aren't they going to seize upon the 150,000 cast ballots that were legally cast within time that were not delivered by the Postal Service as the grounds for complete disenfranchisement by those voters, and that those votes could have made the difference in these states where President Trump may end up narrowly losing? Because but for those ballots, the state could change. What do you make of that argument? That's a straight up disenfranchisement argument, wouldn't you say, Deidre?
Okay, so we have Arizona and Georgia. The due date was November 3rd to be delivered. The numbers are razor sharp margin between, the winners. So the hundreds that were missing, that votes are missing for both candidates, would not make a dent when it comes to the results. Then we have 3 other major states that are still playing until Friday, that there is a Friday, and those states could have some more tangible results, such as Pennsylvania state, but with still coming into the future. And also, it's a not very strong argument, in my opinion, to have a judicial reason for the votes to be for the system or electoral system to be judicially undermined. I think there has to be a little bit more.
Okay, Nick, Frederick.
Yeah, I'll translate. Motion dismiss, counselor. Bang, the gavel. I mean, your arguments are extremely weak. You should be thrown out on the rail, and sanctions should be put upon you. And if you say anything more, I'm just going to hold you in contempt of court and stick your butt in jail. That's basically what she said. But she's really nice about it. I'm not.
Frederick.
Well, of course, Trump's whole position on mail-in ballots is that they're BS, they're fake, they're not real ballots somehow, unless they're his ballots and other people's ballots in Florida, in which case they're golden. So Trump is going to have a really hard time arguing that he was screwed over by the failure to deliver the mail-in ballots, especially, of course, when it was his own appointed Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, who was the one violating court orders and not delivering these things. And also, I would note that the mail-in ballots heavily favor Biden, as you would expect, given what Trump told his supporters: don't vote by mail unless they're in Florida. The real voting occurs in person on election day.
Now, Jeff, isn't the disenfranchisement of one voter enough to review all of it? I mean, shouldn't that be our standard?
I don't know exactly what that means. I think there's a couple of questions involved in this. First of all, if we get down to the bare bones of the question, what does it mean to vote? And what does it mean when we say we want to count every vote? If I go out in the middle of the street and say, I now vote for Trump or I now vote for Biden, can that vote be counted in some way? I think there are processes and procedures that we have to go through in order to register a valid vote. And if we don't do it in the proper way, then the vote shouldn't and can't count because it's disorderly. There's no way to run a democracy by just saying that people can vote in whatever way makes sense to them. Now, when we're talking about mail-in votes, the criticism, as I understand it, has always been, well, it's fraught with peril. We mail out a ballot to somebody who may have died, and their spouse or somebody else in the house can take it and send it in, or people can go out and harvest ballots out of mailboxes and vote. I don't see a lot of evidence that that's occurred. If it has, I certainly want to know about it. We've been voting by mail in Utah for a long time. I voted by mail this year. We seem to have figured out how to do it. I'm not particularly concerned about it, but if there are credible reports that 150,000 ballots didn't get delivered, well, yeah, I've got a problem with that. And I think it needs to be reviewed and looked at. I guess I have some issues with the fact that people are voting in different ways. And, I'd like to see what the statistics look like. How many people who try to vote by mail end up successfully registering a vote versus how many people who go to the polls versus, how many people do it.
Okay. So you want to bring in a commission? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have time for lawyers then. Adam, one disenfranchised vote, one too many.
Well, depends on how you look at it. I think there's some serious issues here.
No. Adam, you can't get away that easy because you're an originalist, and it's the original intent of the Constitution. And they say one person. Well, eventually they get to one person, one vote. And if I am one person by right under the Constitution, the words that were meant at the time that you are now interpreting, if my vote, I cast it and it does not count, doesn't it violate one person, one vote, Adam? That's the only way that you can see it as an originalist.
I disagree. It depends on what you mean by disenfranchised. And until there's a workable definition of that, I'm not sure I can agree with that. Each state has rules and procedures governing voting. Simply because some votes aren't counted because they don't comport with the policies adopted by a particular state does not mean a person has been disenfranchised. So I don't agree with that. And I can tell you that I do fear that there are some shenanigans going on out there, particularly in Nevada. I can tell you from personal experience, 2 of my family members who are fairly recently deceased both received mail-in ballots. All you had to do was sign them, put them in that special little envelope, and mail them. And anybody could have done it. And there's allegations that 10,000 individuals in Nevada who were not residents of Nevada voted. So yes, do I think there are some credible issues out there? I do. And I think that Trump should pursue them. I'm not even a Trump voter. I'm not defending him, but I will tell you that I do not believe that this has proceeded as seamlessly as many would claim.
No, Adam, kind of a serious question. Are you saying that you saw a credible report that 10,000 people that were not registered in the state of Nevada cast ballots in the state of Nevada?
No, I saw an allegation that was the case. And what I'm saying is that the courts will adjudicate that. And if it's meritless, it's meritless. But the fact that the allegation was made, I would assume that they must have some factual basis for it. And given my own personal experience with seeing 2 deceased family members get mail-in ballots that I could have signed and mailed in, and given just the novelty of how many mail-in ballots are being processed, I think that there may be some credible issues out there. I'm not saying that there are, but I'm saying that they should be adjudicated. And quite frankly, disenfranchised, I don't believe anybody's being disenfranchised at this point.
Well, this coming an intellectual commission to rule the world. Let me go to the guy that wants a dictator to rule the world. Nick, do you even think it's an issue?
No, I mean, come on, lawyers. You guys all remember damnum ascus injuria? Remember that Latin phrase, damnum ascus injuria, which means wrong without a remedy. It exists in tort law, and it's something that we study when we're like little bitty lawyers, that if you can't figure out something, throw something in Latin out there. I've been in front of judges. Well, it doesn't make any sense. But what he's going to do, he creates Latin phrases, throws them out there, and makes them feel smart and important. Okay, so here's what you do, Bill. You say, damnum abus injuria, wrong without a remedy, too bad, as our actuary would say, go home, and that's what you're doing. In other words, much ado about nothing. So the thing is, one person didn't get the vote in. Oh, no one did everything right. Damnum abus injuria, goodbye. Next case.
Wow. Okay.
It's in Latin. When you put things in Latin.
Can I make an observation?
Sure, go ahead, Brett.
The voting rolls don't magically know when people die. I mean, my father used to live with us for a time, and before he died, and he would, like the rest of us in our household, get voter registration cards in the mail. And I don't specifically recall, but quite likely he got one after he died as well. And I suppose I could have strolled into the polling place and claimed to be him and cast a vote.
Right. And you're going to throw out the entire election of 198 million people because of that, right, Bill? That's Democratic thinking, isn't it? If your candidate loses. But it's Republican thinking if their candidate loses. And Adam gives a rat's rear because he's an elitist and doesn't think we should be doing this anyway. So the thing is, he doesn't think people should vote anyway. So what difference does it make for him?
A person on this panel who actually, whose life rides or dies on whether or not that vote is counted. Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Does that vote?
He's in trouble.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. Here, let me make sure he's
every
on
vote. Every vote counts, and so I don't think there should be any disenfranchised voter. But I think that the most exciting thing is we've had the highest voter participation in 100 years in the United States. We were 74% in North Carolina, and President Trump even encouraged people to vote twice. And I'm glad people in North Carolina didn't listen to him. We've had no cases of fraud, but voting twice in this state is a felony.
Okay.
So you'll go to prison.
No. Listen. Frankly, nobody cares about the criminal penalties in North Carolina. We are broadcasting to 122 foreign nations. I don't think they even know where North Carolina is. But, so your vote is yes to counting every vote, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, and you're like, it doesn't matter because it goes to states where it's not going to make a difference. And Adam is like, so what? But Jeff, you're for counting every vote, right?
Just a minute, Jeff. You're muted.
Jeff. Nick. Okay.
I just want to make sure he's unmuted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
Okay. Well, yes, I mean, I am for counting the votes, but as I said, I think we have to be very careful that we understand what a vote is. There were, we talked about overvotes and undervotes and all that back in 2000, and there's a question about what does it take to register a vote. And I think, like Adam says, in every state there are different policies and procedures for what a person has to do to accomplish registering a vote. And we don't want to make it so complicated that the average person can't do it. Even the average person of less education ought to be able to register their vote and participate without an undue hardship. But does that mean they can go out in the middle of the street and say, I vote for Joe Biden, and their intent is enough to register a vote? Could it be I couldn't get to the polls and I couldn't get my ballot mailed in, but I now see that the election was really close, so the day after I can send in a vote and have that counted? No, I think we have deadlines, we have policies and procedures, and to some degree they're a little arbitrary. They need to be clear to the voter about what they need to do to register a legitimate vote, and then we ought to count every one of those to the extent possible.
Okay, I think we have a consensus majority opinion here, and that is that these vote, the 150,000 ballots are really not worth doing anything about that. I obviously will dissent. But if that's the case, then what is the president's legal team's strategy for filing all of these lawsuits? I mean, how do we make sense of that? Did you?
Well, Bill, I apologize. I couldn't hear the question. I would like to really to what we talked, like just conclude the 50 mail-in ballots not accounted or late. I apologize. Well, I would mention that from the very beginning, I was, and most of the people, that the mailing ballots are going to be a big issue, especially what was said by the current administration. However, despite those allegations that voting by mail is fraudulent by its nature, not only Jeff, but also President and First Lady voted by mail. So system works. I also want to say that it's very, very important to understand that there is error of margin of error to anything that happens. Mail-in voting was difficult and challenging, and I know I would assume that there's going to be certain ballots that were mailed inappropriately or late or not processed on time. However, we should not lose the bigger picture on that. The main thing, it's still we need to take everything into balance when considering certain mishappenings. But I'm definitely for every vote to be counted, despite the president's term picking and choosing where counting should be stopped and where it should be extended. However, it is what it is, and we need to deal with it. So nothing is perfect, in my opinion, and I think we're still in a good place when it comes to that situation.
Okay, well, then Nick, is Trump's legal team just engaging in malpractice by filing these suits over and over again and then getting them dismissed and then putting the country through an unnecessary stress and anxiety? Because I'll note, even Richard Nixon didn't do it.
It depends on the judge. I mean, the judge may listen to it. Like I said, some of his cases look like they've already been decided. It's res judicata. And a normal lawyer who continues to do something like that would be subject to contempt of court. So the thing is, I think some of these lawyers are going to have to watch themselves. However, they're on the the Republican or somebody's payroll, and that's the only reason they would file that thing to begin with. The other thing is that he just wants to gripe. I mean, he's a paid professional griper. So this is what way he does it. Throws out the legal stuff. But frankly, when it all comes down, other than theater on the lawyer's den, it is a complete bloody waste of time. Because the thing is, we still, frankly, we still don't know who the president is. They haven't officially certified. Not all the votes are in. So Bill, we still have to wait And I think Biden's taking the right approach. Let's wait, get all the votes in, and then make a decision. I think he jumped right after the election and said, "I'm the president. I won. I won." I mean, but he's a theater guy. What am I supposed to tell you?
Right. Okay. Well, Adam, do you think that his legal team is doing more damage to the United States and by dragging this out completely unnecessarily?
Well, it depends on whether there is a credible factual basis for the allegations that they're making in their complaint, and I'm sure that varies from state to state. But regarding your statement that is it enough that a single voter is disenfranchised, my answer to that would be no. There's not, is it true that people are the victims of unreasonable searches and seizures? Yes. Is it true that people are the victims of unlawful interrogations? Yes. Is it true that people are the victims of ineffective assistance of counsel? Yes. Is it true that people are the victims of due process that really is not fair and is rather arbitrary? Yes. There's always going to be problems with in any law or any constitutional provision that we try to implement. However, on the margins, on balance, we are doing a very effective job. And I would say count every legal ballot, but do not count illegal ballots. And that's going to be decided on a state-by-state cases in the relevant litigations.
It's decided on a state-by-state basis unless it's Bush versus Gore.
Which was rightly decided.
Which is rightly decided. So I'm just reinterpreting so that I don't want to mislead your august body of lawyers here, Adam, that it must be decided on a state-by-state basis unless it's a Bush versus Gore deal.
An equal protection violation, yes.
And equal protection, and take substantive due process and throw it down the toilet because it doesn't really exist.
Correct.
Right, there we go. So I'm interpreting for Adam. I'm getting on his good side because I have no bad comments coming through right now. If we go on the other side, all of a sudden his little minions come out there and hammer the comment side. So I got to be real careful. I don't know where they come from. Maybe they're in Georgia. Who knows? But
all over the
world. Go on, Bill. There's no Adam minions coming out and attacking.
Bill,
you're muted.
Oh, Bill muted? Okay.
No, sorry, Frederick. We're going to come to you in a second, but Adam, I do have to say this for our audience, and this is absolutely true. Whenever your groupies think that you're being unfairly picked upon, they complain to Nick. And when I learned that, I went, "Oh, I'm just going to beat up on Adam. Nick will catch all the flack, and I'll be able to talk to the rest of the panel." So, Adam, I'm really not losing any worries.
Hey, I'm buddied up to Adam. I agree with his elitist theory that not everybody should vote anyway because they're low information voters. And in North Carolina, I believe 177,000 people requested ballots. The ballots came in and they didn't do anything. Talk about low information. And so after a while you're going like, what the heck? And now you want to protect that one person who, I voted, but the thing is it got lost in the mail. Oh no, let's get rid of the whole election. Bill, he's got a point. You got a lot of low information voters. I think I'll vote for this person because they look like me. Oh boy, that's the reason why you're going to vote for them. You're not going to vote for them for the issues. They look like me. That's a good reason. Get rid of them, right, Adam?
No. It reminds me of when I was in a polling place once, and some guy was wandering into the booth, and he looks around, turns to his girlfriend, and says, "Wait, who am I supposed to vote for? I mean, give me a break. This democracy experiment has been tried. It's been done in good faith, and it's failed. And I absolutely support a new constitutional convention and a protest."
Look, they're coming out again, and Jeff, I'm coming to you right after Frederick, because seriously, you have the two, those two are clearly on the right. See, they are physically on the right. Frederick, what do you make of this? And shouldn't the president just give up his legal strategy, or should his lawyers refund him the money while they're filing a lawsuit?
The money.
I mean, there is some theoretical chance that obviously that Trump could come up with or his lawyers could come up with a meritorious legal argument, but they certainly don't seem to have done so far. And of course, that doesn't just apply to election law. I mean, Trump has a long history of losing in the courts before and after becoming president. His lawyers specialize in frivolous arguments.
But Bill, it's like this. If you take enough dung and you throw it against the wall, some of it may stick. That's what's really going on here.
Actually,
okay?
Nick, I think his legal team is if you throw enough dung at the wall, something's going to smell.
All of it's going to smell. That's what we're smelling from here. But some of it may stick, and that's what he's looking for. Hey, I got all this dung. Let's throw it against the wall. Maybe some of it will stick.
No, Nick, they're looking for something to smell, and frankly, it all smells. And Jeff, I mean, seriously, why can't he exit gracefully?
Wait, you're talking.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've heard all this stuff about how President Trump is going to try to stay in office. There were all kinds of conspiracy theories about President Obama too, that he was going to find a way to stay in office beyond his second term, and he was going to use the military, and it all turned out to be garbage. And I think this idea that President Trump is going to lose the election but find a way to stay in power anyway is a lot of nonsense. I don't think that's going to happen, whether he's in for 4 years or 8 years. Now, one other. By the way, Nick, legal theory of illegitimate non-carborundum. Google it. Anyway,
always throw that Latin in, baby. If you're a judge and you don't, and you really want to confuse everybody, throw some Latin phrase. Everybody will be impressed. Thanks, Jeff.
I have to respond to Adam's. Now, I don't really believe that Adam is serious about this. I want a panel of intellectuals rather than he defends the Constitution every chance he gets, and then he says, "I think we should throw it out. It's a failed experiment, and we should just be ruled by a panel of intellectuals." I don't really believe he thinks that, even though I mocked him about it on my Facebook page last night. But I think, though, that experiment was tried. When Oliver Cromwell was ruling England, he decided he didn't like Parliament, and he threw them out of office. And then he handpicked 140 people that he called his Parliament of Saints, and they were educated elites who he felt shared his reformist view. And you know what? It was a total disaster. It did not work. He ended up dissolving it and calling a real parliament and having them elected again because it was a lot better and a lot more successful, and people got on board with the stuff they did. So I think this idea of we're going to pick a panel of elites that's going to somehow make better decisions, tried, failed, throw it on the ash heap of history.
Okay, Steve, what do you make of all this elitism, dictatorship, and just general mayhem with our Constitution, Steve?
I think it's very unsettling, but I think at the end of the day, the president's going to lose, and eventually his inner circle will just say that he has to concede, because I think that this whole notion of being a dictatorship and someone not leaving the White House, this is not the American thing to do. So, Bill, I think he should exit gracefully. And at the end of the day, I think this is just about the president's delay tactics that he doesn't want to lose. I mean, for those of you watching around the world, only 2 presidents in the last 30 years as incumbents haven't been reelected: George H.W. Bush and Jimmy Carter. And this guy does not want to join that list. So that's what it's about. So he just needs to accept it. He was president for 4 years, and I'm sure if he's not going to jail, he'll figure something out to do.
No, I'm sorry. If we had Sasha on the panel, we know he wouldn't be going to jail. Sasha would put him to the guillotine. But so we've had a lot of fun with this video. I want to turn our attention to what I think is going to be thinking about moving forward. And that is simply this. We now have a lame duck president. What do we think the current lame duck Congress is going to get done between now and January 20th, if anything? I mean, anything meaningful? There are talks about stimulus bills. I mean, who knows? Do you guys see anyone law out there that may be addressed as they're leaving the White House or passed by Congress, or you just see absolutely nothing happening between now and January 20th? Nick?
Oh yeah, they actually might get something done, as you might think. They may actually put a stimulus bill together, in spite of it being lame duck. Part of the reason why, if they don't, the economy is going to tank, and both parties do not want to see the economy tank now that the election's over. There's no incentive for that, so they want to see the economy thrive. So what they're going to do is, I think they'll get together and actually sign a stimulus bill between now and the time Trump leaves office or Biden goes in or whatever happens. Also, what I think is going to happen, Bill, is you're going to see Twitter tantrums go on about this many, many weeks after the election is certified. He's not going to stop. Because he doesn't have a history of stopping. That's not Don, the Don, baby, the Don. So what's going to happen is the Don is going to continue doing Twitter tantrums all the way until he exits stage right. And then the Twitter tantrums are going to go away, and then President Harris will be inaugurated. Right, Adam? Okay, because the real question is, Joe going to be able to be around that long? I mean, you got to look at this way. Oh, you're muted, Bill. Muted yourself.
Okay, Frederick, I want to ask you this because, and Nick, I appreciate that, and we'll get to Adam in a second about all of Nick's speculations. But Frederick, there is also another bill out there. That is to say that when they passed the continuing resolution bills to continue to fund the government, they sunsetted it on December 11th. Now, do you see a way that the Democrats, if there is an impasse in the current lame duck session of Congress moving forward on the stimulus package, do you think the Democrats would just simply not fund the government come December 11th, waiting and knowing that they're going to have a better deal come January?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that would be very irresponsible to not fund the government, and it's the Republicans who've shown a propensity for that sort of thing. Also, if I may, can I respond to Jeff's comparison of Trump and Obama in terms of the possibility of them not leaving office?
Yes.
Okay. Obama clearly respected the norms of the law. He was a constitutional law professor. He acted like a normal president is supposed to be. He clearly respected the rule of law. Trump has absolute contempt for the rule of law. He thinks he should be a dictator. And he has made noises. He said he should have an extra 2 years because of the Mueller witch hunt. And he suggested we should postpone the election, I guess because of the pandemic. And he's also made jokes, if they are jokes, about being president for maybe he should become president for life. So I think that the people's fears that Trump would not want to leave are infinitely better founded than conspiracy theories about Obama doing the same thing.
Oh, Bill,
you're muted, Bill.
You're muted.
Jeff. Question. That is a direct question, sir, and you have to answer.
I'll tell you what. If Trump tries to use the military to dissolve Congress and stay in power after his term is up, I will come on this show and eat my hat.
By the way, Jeff,
fortunately, I don't think Trump is. I don't think Trump is going to succeed in any such effort. I don't see that anyone's supporting him in his notion that he should get to stay in power forever. But if there weren't some support, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried it.
By the way, Bill, I don't know if you know this, that some person in Adam's neck of the woods in Georgia, a QAnon person got elected to the House. That is amazing because that is so bizarre. Those are people that believe that there's some pedophiles, that Democratic Party is full of pedophiles run by Biden or something weird like that. Yeah. But she got elected or he got elected, whatever it is. I want to have dinner with that person along with AOC and put them in the same room together at the House. Yes, and have them talk to each other and see what happens.
Okay, no, Adam, because I'm gonna. First of all, it is a new woman congresswoman who got elected on the QAnon theory, and they think the Democrats are secretly running a worldwide pedophile thing. Just to be clear. Now, Adam, I'm gonna.
You have a lot of feedback, Bill.
Yeah. Okay. Adam, you obviously have to answer that question, but you also have to answer this question. Jeff just came to your defense. Now, Jeff was twice on this show, bet his hat, and I think he only owes one hat. So, are you going to bring him another hat if he loses the bet, or are you going to eat a hat with him after he so eloquently defended you, Adam?
Jeff did defend me, but then he mocked me on Facebook for my Board of Intellectuals argument, so I have to respond to that briefly. Jeff is 100% correct that I'm only being half serious when I talk about being ruled by a Board of Intellectuals. What I'm really saying is that there are serious problems with democracy and with this democracy. We have a United States Supreme Court that often intervenes to invalidate legislation when there's no clear textual basis to do so, such as in National Federation versus Sebelius with the ACA and Shelby County versus Holder with Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. We have tens of millions of low information voters that don't know anything about politics. And you're telling me that their vote should be equivalent to the vote of Chief Justice John Roberts or Sonia Sotomayor? I'd like someone to say that they think that's the right thing to do. And third, we have state legislatures and we have Congress and the Senate that have not done anything or have done very little to address many pressing problems, whether it's in the prison system, whether it's with the war on drugs, in a variety of areas. So we have major problems with democracy, and the status quo is unacceptable. And if you think that the vote of John Roberts should be the same as the beer guzzling frat boy in Montana, then I'm sorry, democracy ain't for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. At least we're on the same page there.
Okay, no, hang on.
Right.
Buckle up, everybody, because we have a gentleman here, Steve, and I guess you believe every vote needs to be counted, and I believe you think every vote is equal, don't you, Steve?
Yes, every vote is equal.
Okay,
We're a democracy.
Steve, Adam has asked somebody on this panel to say that the beer guzzling vote is the exact same as the
Chief Justice Roberts.
Hey, man, this is America, and we are all created equal, and it is a right for us to vote. And so I respectfully disagree with Adam. I think that the beer guzzling guy has as much of a right to vote who his president's going to be as Justice John Roberts or whoever. And that's America, baby. We're proud of it. And we're land of the free, land of the home and the brave, man. And we're going to be okay. I'm an optimist. It's going to be a happy ending. Joe Biden's going to be president. He's going to put together a great cabinet. Maybe President Trump will pass a stimulus package. And come January, we're going to be healing as a nation, and we're going to be moving forward, baby. United States of America.
Okay, Gidry, what do you think? You've got the beer guzzling vote. You've got the sophisticate vote. There was an olive branch between the originalists to the originalists that was then rejected. Only Frederick, I think, is being. Nick is out there still talking dictatorship. What's going on with the panel tonight, young lady? Well,
Is she muted?
Yeah, you muted yourself.
Oh, no,
Okay,
she muted herself.
How can I go after what Steve has said? Like, really, after that speech, I think, like, okay, well, I should just close our laptops and go home. But I will agree with Steve. I think we should be optimistic. I do think that each vote counts. And I actually wanted to add something to this discussion, really fierce discussion by the gentleman about Trump not wanting to leave White House, for the lack of a better term. You probably missed one of his hundreds recent tweets where he said, if miraculously he loses this election by the miscount, we will never see him again because he's leaving the country. So here's the answer. There's not going to be military. We don't need to talk about rule of law. So respected by Obama, because we know that Trump respects Twitter, and it's there. So that's where I rest my argument today.
I think that's a microphone drop for you. I think Nick. There you go.
Yeah, yes, Counselor.
Yeah. So she just correctly reminded all of us that Donald Trump, I think, either be a tweeter or tweet. Sorry.
Tweet. Right.
Today's stuff. It said that if he loses the election, he would leave the country.
Right.
So therefore, we wouldn't have a constitutional crisis. We wouldn't have any of this other stuff. Do you want to buy a plane ticket?
Oh, just a second. That's Robert Goulet singing "The Impossible Dream." Let me get him off here. Okay. The thing is, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. He's going to go back to his golf clubs and pout about being not the president. And you know what? He might get a contract on TV, celebrity president. So, the thing is, you never know. He's not going to leave us. He'll be around with us for a while. So you're just going to have to deal with it, Bill. It'll just be in a different format. Remember, he came from Celebrity Apprentice. Hello. We what we did is we elected a, what do they call it? I'm not going to say he was a clown because he wasn't really a clown. He was a game show host to become president of the United States. So you get what you got. And that's what you got. And you got 4 more years. Well, you have 4 years. You may have 4 more. We still don't know yet, but you may not. And so the thing is, we're going to miss out a lot of fun, Bill. I'm sorry. Biden's going to be bloody boring. Whether you got the guys who love Biden, he is a boring person. Trump is right.
A lot of sleep. No, Nick, and I'm going to come back to you. But listen, I know that we only have like 5 minutes left, so I want to go around the horn because remember, we are all silenced until Monday because today is Thursday. So we've got 3 days.
Okay.
I just want to get one prediction for the most outrageous thing that you think might happen between now and Monday. And if you're right, you get to start the show on Monday. So let's go with okay, and it's got to be brief because Nick lands his plane on time every week. So Steve, what is your most outlandish prediction for the weekend activities?
Joe Biden declares himself the winner, and he offers President Trump a position in his administration.
That is way out there.
I don't know what it would be, but he would just to make him not so boring and to make it fun, so we could really have some fun. Biden and Trump working together to make America.
Okay, so
that's true. That would be interesting.
That is a tall order. Okay, Jeff, please. What?
The election is called for Biden, and Melania Trump decides to leave Donald, calling him a loser and a sucker.
Oh, that's a big one. Whoa, Jeff.
Melania leaves Donald.
Wow, these could be great headlines. Boy, our ratings will go sky high, Bill. You may actually beat Hugh Merriwood if you get this.
I don't know. Frederick? Okay.
Well, I don't know what's going to be outrageous. I'm sure there will be outrageous things happening this weekend. I don't know what they will be. But probably subsequent to this weekend, either Trump is going to pardon himself or he's going to resign and have Pence do it.
Okay, a Trump pardon. We'll give you an extension on that one. It won't have to be occur this weekend because first he's got to recognize that he loses the election. So we'll hold that one off. Gidry, what is your most outrageous idea?
I think for this weekend, we're just going to still talk about the voting. We're not going to have anything for certain. Trump will come up with other reasons to raise new claims in different courts. And I think we're just going to talk about it next week.
Just more litigation. That's all you see, huh?
More of the same.
Okay. Adam? Please.
Arizona or Nevada could flip, and I reiterate my position that Bill Gates' vote should matter more than the beer-guzzling jerk from Montana.
Okay. All right. Nick, please land the plane.
Okay, I'll land the plane, but I've got my most outrageous thing that's going to happen. Okay. Georgia flips and actually becomes a blue state. And Adam hears that a constitutional law professor in Illinois became president. So Adam goes, I'm going to be declaring for president also because I'm a constitutional law professor in Georgia. And me and Jimmy Carter are best buddies. So he already has his one vote to be president of the United States. So Adam runs for president of the United States because that's the clear path to the White House, is becoming a constitutional law scholar and then running for president. And he's going to do it right out of Midgeville, Georgia. And that's pretty outrageous. So anyway, with that, I guess it's at the hour. And let me see if I have any E-flames from Adam. I got a bunch of them. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But thanks for watching The Lawyer's Den. We'll see you Monday. And I'll wait for Adam to make his declaration to throw his hat in the ring to be the next president of the United States.
Wait, that's